Hello and welcome everyone. It's another evening, it's another last Tuesday of the month, so we're back with Mapping It Out, our monthly stream, developer stream about DungeonFog and what is going on here at DungeonFog. As you can see tonight, it's just me. Guy unfortunately couldn't make it tonight, so he left the responsibility to run this stream to myself. I hope that I can do as good as Guy, which means please apologize if we have some technical difficulties. Let's do some basic checking. You can all hear me, audio is fine. Do I have to be louder? Do I have to be less loud? Please let me know in the chat. Hi chat, hi everyone. Next thing is, as always, if you want to leave a question, and you want me to answer that question, please put a big question in caps in front of it so I can quickly catch it in the chat. I'll do my best to answer them, and I will make sure that I hopefully get all your questions. If you feel like I didn't answer yours, I missed yours, just repeat it. Don't spam the chat though. All right. So let's talk a little bit about what I have prepared for tonight. First, we are going to look at the winner of our Map Battle Madness. For those of you who remember, a couple of weeks ago, we had our 2023 championship map making contest, the Map Battle Madness, where two map makers competed about the title of the Fogmaster. Now we have an acting champion, Lord God, and we have a challenger, Incubus. And for those of you who saw the battle, it was a grueling 3-hour fight where they too had to create a battle map. And it was up to you as the audience to decide who actually won that challenge. And tonight we are going to reveal the voting results. So we're going to start with that as our first segment. And afterwards, we continue with our regular segments, which will be DungeonFog news, news about the battle map editor and what's going on in the company. And of course, then we will transition into news about Project DEIOS, because I can promise you, we have some really amazing news. And you're going to be super excited about this. So let's kick this stream off with the drum roll, and let's introduce our two contestants for Map Battle Madness. And I really hope that my technical setup is working for that. So let's see, let's bring in Incubus and Lord God. Okay, don't worry about it. I'm going to be there in a second. Here I am. Okay, there you go. Can you say something, please? Let's check
Hello.
the audio.
Can you hear us?
Hi.
Hi. Hi, it's a pleasure to have you here. And chat, please let us know whether or not you can hear Incubus and Lord God, and if you have any echoes or whatsoever. I was trying to get that setup working, and I really hope I did. All right, so let's start with you, Inc. How are you doing? How excited are you?
I am terrified, but incredibly excited at the same time.
How did you spend the last 2 weeks? Have you been checking? Have you been voting? Have you been making maps?
I cast my own vote, obviously, for whichever one I think is better. Other than that, I've been plugging it away. I still have D&D, so I still make my maps, and got another one planned.
Did you go back to the map that you made and kind of post-analyzed it and
Absolutely. I was like, yep, should have done that. Should have done that.
Hold that thought. We're going to look at the map in a minute. And I would really be curious to know what would you change now that you've been looking at it.
Oh boy.
Incubus, you have been the challenger. But we have an acting champion, Lord God. It's a pleasure to have you here tonight, or this morning, or whatever day you guys have at the moment. How are you doing?
I'm great. Not incredibly nervous. Not at all.
Not at all.
Pain on your face.
Well, at least you have the advantage that you had all of this experienced at least once already. You were the one who dethroned me Now you wear the crown. How is your confidence holding up for tonight?
Not. I mean, I thought it would be better than it is. That's for sure. I guess I'm wondering what the outcome is, and I'm anxious to see what the results are.
Have you been looking at your own map and figured out?
No, out of sight, out of mind. I did buy a lot of votes on the internet, as much as I could, but I could only that bankroll only went for so long.
Oh, you're gonna pay
All
for
right.
yours?
Yeah, I had to. That's right.
So for the rest of you, okay, let me just quickly look at the chat. Someone is quiet. Incubus is very quiet. So maybe you can make yourself a bit louder. Both are quiet.
How's this?
How's this? Come again?
Does this sound any better?
Well, at least for me it does. Let's see what chat is saying. If you feel like I'm too loud, I can also turn myself down a little bit.
Which
Which
is what I get
means
for buying a
Yeah,
$70
which means-
headset.
still quiet. Don't worry about it. You just have to shout in the mic. That's what you have to do.
Hold that thought. All right.
Oh no, wrong screen. Give me a second. Oop. Okay. So,
This would work.
here we are.
Now all are equally quiet.
Bring myself back in the middle a little bit. So, for those of you who did not see what was going on with the map battle madness, there is a YouTube video out there. You can watch. You can watch it, and I hope that by well, in the next couple of days, once DEIOS City Map Maker release has been done, I'll actually cut it down to a recap. But if you've missed it, go to our YouTube channel. It's dungeonfog.com/ it's youtube.com/dungeonfog, and there you can watch the actual battle. The goal was so we randomly decided on the location, the function, the species, and the alignment. Those were roles that were done by our amazing dice roller, and the results were that you had to do an island that houses a facility by aquatic creatures with an chaotic evil alignment. Now that's quite the challenge already. And throughout the 3 hours that you had time to create the map, every 30 minutes, we also dropped in a random roll that decided on another topic or another area that you have to create within the map. And those 5 rolls were actually, you had to create a puzzle. You had to introduce some kind of different civilization that also was based on that island. You had to create a place of great power. You also had to create an area of constant battle and a place of worship. Yeah. So that was the goal, and I think you both did really well. And I would like to just quickly look at the maps that you did and get some commentary from you to see what are your post thoughts about it. What did you try to do there? The reason we're doing this is, by the way, if you haven't voted yet, you can go to the DungeonFog website. You can, there's on the landing page, the big banner that says vote now. And you can go there and post your vote. At the end of this segment, I'm going to close the voting and we will look at the results. So if you haven't voted yet, do this now. Let me actually copy the link quickly. I am so greatly prepared. There you go. Okay, here I have the link. I'm going to put it into chat. Here you go. So if you follow that link, it will bring you to the voting, and you can cast your vote now. While The audience is tipping the scale, probably. We will see. I can already say it was a really close call. So it's like there's probably 8% difference. So you actually might be tipping the scale. We will see. In the meantime, to get a better inspiration on which map should you vote on, let's look at Lord God's map. And you just walk us through the story of this map.
Okay. So I mean, like you said, it's an island, and it had to be a facility, which was the one that really messed with me because it was aquatic creatures. So I kind of wondered why aquatic creatures would want to be on an island to make their facility. And then I thought of the idea of that they would need to forge their weapons, and you can't use fire underwater. So I made them have a swim up forge. So they enter through the underneath of the island and swim up into the middle area there, which is a tunnel down to the bottom. They can swim up to the forges and use the tools that are laid out there. Then the area of worship is behind the sealed wall there, where there's a corpse has been sealed away for the ages. And their great power is within that space, or I guess possibly the great power of the island's volcano itself. And then if we move down to the lower level,
Yes, sir. We are
sorry. Oh, also this place is as chaotic evil as I could make it, with the scary spikes and other things, and previously lived in by orcs with all of their banners and things around.
Nice. Okay.
And
So
if
this
we
is
go
the underwater section.
Yeah, the underwater section, you can see that like the lava is starting to break its way through into the underwater space. And the area of constant battle is this space where the manta rays that are trying to take up residence here are fighting with whatever that horrible creature is, hiding amongst the puzzle room where one door lies and the other tells the truth. And the keen observer will notice that one of the doors is lying on the floor.
Yeah, really nice detail.
Which would lead you down to like a really, really dark space where you might get hurt by the magical artifact at the end of the tunnel there.
I think you said it was kind of a sphere of annihilation, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think for copyright reasons I called it a really mean ball.
Really mean ball.
Yeah, and then there's some evidence of the orcs having been here before, with their unique decor and the sort of chaotic, evil-looking space. And I think that tackles all of the special cues. Tried to give it a really good watery atmosphere, toned it that way, made sure that the tunnels were flooded, which I almost forgot to do. It was interesting during the actual battle.
Looking back at the map right now and reflecting on it, is there anything that you would like to particularly change?
Yeah. Instead of realizing that I had missed a door on the top level, I would put the door there, which is like the entrance into the altar room. So storyline wise, I said that he was sealed in there, but yeah, I just forgot to put a door.
All right. Nice.
I see.
I think it's a really good map. I very much enjoyed watching how you did it. But you had a quite capable component. I want opponent. That's what I was trying to say. Opponent there, who also did a really interesting approach on the map design. Ink, why don't you talk us through your maps?
So I had a similar problem to LG where sea creatures on the land. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? What a great role. But eventually I came up with I think it was Institution or whatever it was called that actually helped me kind of narrow it down. I was like, wait a minute here. These guys are chaotic evil. What is more evil than luring people into a nice vacation only to ruin it? So the concept here is that this, on the outside appearance, it's this nice, beautiful resort built on ancient Aztec or whatever you want to call them ruins, where they come in, through air. They land. They have all-you-can-eat dinners. They have their own unique suites. They have a little private little altar that they can use to pray. And all the while, what's actually happening is under the surface, where each individual person is being abducted by these evil sea creatures, being swept through the pool into this dumping grounds where they're corralled, collected, and butchered for the actual kitchen and stored for not only these sea creatures but to feed to themselves. And I think that is the most evil thing I could possibly do in a resort home, because you don't eat people normally. I think most people don't eat people normally. With that in mind, I wanted to expand the lore of these creatures a little bit more. Why would they just kill the people and eat them and feed them to yourself? So obviously with the lab or experiment role we had, I was like, okay, we can have them capture and corral a few for experimentation, testing, dissection. And then place of power, that one was tricky. That one was very tricky, because I was like, I could do a place of power and a religious spot all in one, but that would feel like cheating. So instead, I put the altar for the tourists and a place of power being this monstrous portal where it's constantly emitting these dangerous creatures,
Yeah.
giving the sense of absolute battle and chaos that while they're evil, they are holding back these even more ferocious beasts.
Nice. Do you I think I really enjoyed when you started mapping to see that you actually decided to go on a modern setting and not a fantasy or medieval setting. Do you feel like this is going to win you or this is going to lose you?
I feel like it would hurt me in the long run. The reason I did it was just because the first thing that came out into mind, like evil sea creatures facility, James Bond. So instantly in my head, it was filled with all these visions and ideas of a modern like institute and lab and thing. I was like, all right, I have ADHD. This isn't gonna leave me. I have to work with it.
No, I think, and also if I may quickly switch back to the map, I think you which I really enjoyed watching was how little details you actually need to make it a modern setting. Because when you look at it, you made this, I think, really cool pool, the swimming pool outdoors, and then you took the helicopter landing pad, and those two things are enough to make it easily understandable that this is a modern setting. Um,
I could
and
have easily replaced the
yeah,
helipad for a
yeah,
docks, and you would have thought it would be fantasy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's a really nice way to kind of use the least detail necessary, which is always a good choice, to actually establish the setting. And you repeated that pattern, which I think is good too, with the computer screens down there. So it is still, it keeps this modern flair throughout both the maps. And I very much enjoyed watching you creating this map. Is there anything where you feel like if you had the opportunity to change it now, you would do it?
Yeah. For one, I didn't get the chance to do my signature grid because for some reason I completely forgot. So there's just a grid overlay, and I honestly am not a fan of that. Second, the water canals are so wonky shaped that they don't really seem to blend in with the walls as much as I wanted. And I don't think I would have been able to do that properly in a good amount of time. That's something I would have to do afterwards,
Yeah.
100%.
Is that something that you both do, generally speaking? You create a map on first draft and then you let it sit and rest a bit and then come back and refine it?
Sometimes. I do that on occasion when I'm not super confident with a map. I'm like, okay, let's let it simmer, let them
Yeah.
cook, see what happens.
Lord, what about you?
Yeah, I think the bigger the map is, probably the more I'm more likely to do that, where I'll make the layout and then decide, oh no, this isn't going to fit. I need to move this around. This room needs to be bigger. This needs to be smaller. You can't get to this room. So yeah, I think yeah, as a sort of draft and letting it marinate a little bit and then coming back to it. Yeah, I do that.
How long do you have to marinate before you realize the door was missing?
Till about a week ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's
And there
those
you
small
go.
details that you actually probably you only typically for me those are the things that I only catch when my players point them out. When they're like, "Oh, there's no door." And I'm like, "Yeah,
Didn't do it.
I forgot it." Right, guys, audience, chat. It's now or never. If you haven't voted yet, it's going to be only a few seconds because while you are rushing to the voting tool, I'm also there and I am locking down the voting as soon as I find that option.
Pray to your God.
There it is. Okay, so last
You are
chance.
your own
I
God.
will lock the vote in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Locked. No more answers will be accepted. We have a winner. And I'm pretty sure that you are very excited to see this. So let's do this. Let's have a look at the voting results. And for that purpose, I'm going to... I really hope that this is working right now. There you go.
Hey,
Okay.
it's so painful.
So I'm switching into my Google voting form, and we will have a look. It's cut off at the top, so you're not seeing it right now.
Oh, you're killing
Let me
us.
see if I can actually extend that window a bit. No, I can't. Okay, never mind. I can tell you it's 204 people have voted on the maps, which is quite a nice number. I remember last year was roughly about 100 people that voted.
Wow, double.
So 204 people decided on the winner, the new Battle Madness champion. Is it someone who can actually hold the title and stay in the throne, or are we having a new Battle Madness champion? And the answer to that question is only one mouse button away, because
Oh,
now...
come on.
Till, you're killing us.
Okay, no more torture. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner, and the winner is with 85.8%. Lord God, you are defending the title. Ink, I'm sorry, it was so close. Look at that. 41.2%. As I said, there's only roughly, I'm not sure, not good at numbers, but I think there's a couple dozen of votes difference.
I should have told my family to vote for me.
Congratulations, Lord God. You are keeping the title. You're defending your active championship of Battle Madness, which means that you are going to come back next year.
Oh
You
boy.
have my sympathies.
And you're
Thanks.
going to defend against, well, is there a favorite map maker out there that you would like to invite to that challenge?
There's lots of very good map makers on the site, but I'd love to face off against Battle Sauce,
Hey,
or
there it
Johnny,
is.
Yeah.
Arcade.
Arcane, Johnny, Battle Sauce, yeah, they're
Yeah,
Jabba
there's some big
actually
names.
is coming up as quite a strong map maker at the moment. So there is a pool of people who might be interested in joining the Map Battle Madness. Ink, you did an amazing job. I think your map is super cool. You pushed the limits on Lord God really hard. And the voting shows that it was really close call. So thank you very much, Incubus, for participating in this battle. Thank you for trying to push off Lord God from the throne.
He's too big for his britches. Someone's gotta fix it.
Lord God, congratulations on your title.
Thank you.
The reward, as promised, is going to be the second badge on your profile, showing you that you are the acting champion. We will do all the proper website and social media celebration in the next couple of days. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had fun.
I had a great time.
It was a blast.
Yeah, it was a blast for me too. So thank you, both of you, for participating in this year's Map Battle Madness. Chat, thank you so much for taking part in the voting, taking part in the random rolls, and just having fun with us in making maps and making just a blast out of it. And I hope I see you all in next year's Map Battle Madness, because now we have someone who's actually clinging to that throne, and I think
Claws are in.
Can't let the community down.
I think
It
we
had to
need
happen.
to
I messed up.
I think we need to ramp up the difficulty. Lord God will think about things to make it more difficult for you.
Haha, you gotta do it next year.
You have to cover one eye. Guys, thank you. Have a great day. I'm going to say bye to you now, and we're going to switch into our regular mapping it out. So have a wave to the chat and see you soon.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for the
Executors.
opportunity.
While I am now switching to this one, which apparently doesn't work, which is fine. I know that. Because I have to do this. I probably do even this. Bye, guys. And bring us back here. There you go. It's working. Damien asks, does it have to be yearly? What about every 6 months? Well, yeah, that's a nice idea, but it is a lot of prep work. And it is. We don't want to water down the meaning of it. There's 1 year to prep yourself for it, and there's 1 year for us to prep that event. So I think a yearly championship is quite fine. Let me see if there is. Oh, we already have a challenger. I can see. Bubko Phoenix says I'm challenging him next year. Well, I'm going to come back to you on that. Guys, again, setup works. I think I'm good. Let me just do some other adjustments, because again, without Guy, I have to push all the buttons myself, which I hope I can still do. All right. Mapping it out, and we're back to our regular program, which means that we are going to talk about DungeonFog news. And I'm a bit offset. Let me bring you some in here. There you go. I think that's fine. I hope audio is good too. Let's talk about what's going on at DungeonFog right now. So first of all, we already we're within our kind of big release rotation right now. So we have already give me a second. I need to shift windows here a little bit. There you go. That's much better. We've already released our education account system. So if you are someone who is teaching D&D in classes, might that be at your local library or in a school or as a side program or even in a bigger college situation, go check out our website. You're going to find this new option for seed manager and educational accounts on our pricing page. That one has been released already. The next things that are coming up are the assets, because we have a new asset pack that has been released yesterday, if I remember correctly. And that is we've started rolling out our Symbolicon asset packs. We have been sitting on them for quite a while, and I know that you have been asking for them, and I think now is a good time to start rolling them out. We are starting with the Aztec, Inca, and Mayan symbols, and they are being rolled out for now to the battlemap editor, but they will find the way into Project DEIOS very soon. So This is going to be the our November asset pack release, and this is going to be what we call kind of a bucket. We're going to release more and more of the symbols. I think there's a couple of thousand symbols from all the different cultures, socially, cultural, religious symbols that were created by Symbolicon that we supported as backers on Kickstarter, and we had a collaboration with them. There you go. You can find them already. They are now available in the battlemap editor, and we will make them available fairly soon in DEIOS as well. I can't spell your name, Jesus. AW Row 1970 says, I'm just finished at some Aztec adventure maps. Don't make me want to do them again. Well, you don't have to do them again, but if you want to add some amazing, cool Aztec symbols in there, just go back into those maps and add them. All those symbols exist in a clean version and in a worn-out version that looks like it's been a bit scratched or damaged. So you can use them to as floor decoration, as symbolisms for your players, whatever you like to do with them. I think they're really amazing. And again, the way that Symbolicon created them was they did a lot of research, and I think they're quite strong from an iconographic or typographic point of view. Right, so but that's not the only thing that's happening asset-wise right now, because we are very close to ending November, and that means traditionally it is time for our Winter Wonderland. And Winter Wonderland is our DungeonFog Advent calendar that is going to start on December the 1st and will go until the 31st of December. And it is an Advent calendar, which means that when you go to our website, you can, each day, you can open one of the windows or one of the doors, and you will get the special asset that's included in there. Now, is this the only way to get those assets? No, it's not, but it's the only way to get those assets as soon as they are being released, because the pack itself, the complete pack, will be released a bit later. So if you want to have first hands on the new assets that are part of our Winter Wonderland topic, then enjoy opening a door every day on our website. Right. Will these assets be available for free users? The assets, honestly, I can't remember. I think, yes, I think they will be available for free users, because traditionally we do the Winter Wonderland asset pack as a free pack. Right, so that's assets. What is next is Community Spotlight. We've been looking at 2 community members who have been facing off tonight. Now we're looking at the Community Spotlight maps that are our monthly highlight in terms of battle maps. We're taking the maps from the community hub on DungeonFog.com/hub, and we look at the maps that are ranked as the hottest maps or the latest maps that have been published. And we then do a curated selection of 5 maps that we would like to highlight in our Mapping It Out stream. And I think we have quite an interesting selection tonight. So let's quickly look at the maps that are being highlighted as Community Spotlight. Now, before we do that, if you ask yourself, how can my map be in the Community Spotlight? That's semi-simple. All you have to do, for you, it's very simple. All you have to do is you have to publish the map. If you create a map and you feel like you want to contribute to the community with this map, all you have to do is you publish it, and it will automatically be published into the hub. And the better you tag it, categorize it, flag it, the easier it is for the community to find this map. And then it is up to the community, because they are going to clone those maps, or they're going to give a like to those maps, which then pushes those maps higher in the ranking, which makes them part of the hottest map section. And that is where we come in and see those maps. And because there are often many more contributions in the hottest maps that we can fit into our Mapping It Out stream, we then curate it down to 5 maps. So if you want to make your maps available, this is the way to go. And who knows, you might end up in the community spotlight, which as a reward, you'll also receive a little badge that says this map and you as a map maker have been highlighted in one of those streams. All right, so the first one that we have is by Johnny. Oh, I'm kind of in the way here. Give me a second. Let's move over there. The Forest River Clearing by Johnny, I think, is a really nice outdoor, probably random encounter battle map. You have the river, you have the bridge, you have 2 different options to cross the river, because you have the you have kind of this bridge here with this stone formation that leads across the river. You have this bridge. You could place an ambush here. So I think it's a really nice map. It's also utilizing parts of the paths tools, the new backgrounds, and the DungeonFog assets, which makes it fairly easy for you to just clone the map and make it your own. There's also, I think it's really interesting. The more you look at it, the more you dive deeper into analyzing the map, you can see that there's a very soft shadowing, which is not created by the lighting tools, but just by duplicating and darkening the assets and putting them at the bottom, which I think is a very good way to create this very 3-dimensional perspective on the map. So I really enjoy this map, and Johnny, all I can say is thank you, because this map is definitely going to end up in one of my collections of random encounters. Next one, also really cool map, is by Arcane. It's the Pyramid of Dread. And the stream is not doing justice to the map, because you have to, if we're going to publish those maps as part of our community spotlight news article in, I think, tomorrow. And you have to look at the map in its full resolution and its full detail. There is so much to discover in there, and it's such an amazing map. If you're ever looking for the evil ziggurat style, then this is the map to go. You have those blood fountains where you actually have this really cool combinations of fountain water, waves, the blood texture, the stairs, the altar. There's all those prison cages that you can find there, and then this amazing, I'm not sure if it's blood or lava. There's so much to discover in this map. I had so much fun looking at it and just exploring it. I'm not sure if I can use it in one of my games, but I might be. Just because I will love the map, my players might accidentally find themselves in a different plane where they have to face something off here. Next one. Now we're getting to a really interesting thing I have noticed when we curated those maps. We have another beautiful map by BattleSource. The map is called Dungeon Crawl. And not only did BattleSource use a really interesting technique, he colorized the grid to actually create, I would say, even some kind of semi-magical effect on it. He also very skillfully played with the coloring on the map. But the reason I find this so interesting is that, by the way, this is also a map that I'm definitely going to use. I think this fits very nicely in the section of my game where they go into the Underdark and they start exploring the Underdark. And I think this is the perfect map of kind of the transition between the dungeon area and then the slow transition into the Underdark when it really gets just cavey and mushroomy. That's a section that happens in between. And I'm going to, I love the way that this map is done. But here's the interesting thing. We have another map from another user, and that's the Underground Pathways by Johnny again. And I actually put those two maps in, although we already had a spotlight on Johnny here, because if you compare those two maps, I think it's really interesting to see how artistically, how good they are balanced to work with each other. And I would love to hear from Johnny or from BattleSauce if you got inspiration from the other artist, or if that just really happened by accident. But I love it. Like, those two maps, they work together quite nicely. Oops, sorry, I wanted to jump back. So if you look at that one, it's a bit more brighter, more vibrant. But this one is also the coloring, the lighting, the details. It's such an amazing map. And again, I feel like they work together really, really nicely. Incubus thinks definitely inspired. Johnny, BattleSauce, if you're out there, let us know on Discord. It would be really interesting to see where did your ideas come from? How did you create that map? I would love to hear that. So the last one we have is also a really nice one, because I think it's almost, it gets to the level of, when I looked at it, I felt torn between, is that already some kind of very artistic, almost Mike Schleish style of doing the map, or is it almost getting too photorealistic? I don't know. It speaks to me very much, this map. This is the Sea Caves by Hunebi. Sorry, apologies if I spelled your name wrong. It's a really nice cave map that you could use for, I think, as you can see here, for a pirate cave where you have the sea entrance to the cave where the ship comes in. But as with all those maps, we can grab it and quickly expand that map to add more river pathways here, or transitions into different areas of the dungeon. Because when you open the map and you look at it, the way that those caves are done are also done with the paths tool. So it's fairly simple to just continue the paths and trace additional caves there. And again, the way that the lighting is done and the way that the perspective is done, especially if you look at the way that the perspectives are created in those areas here, are really interesting. I very much enjoyed it. I think I have to point out, though, that some of the assets are used from the Forgotten Adventures asset packs. So if you are a Patreon to Forgotten Adventures, so if you're supporting them on Patreon, you have access in DungeonFog automatically to those assets. Otherwise, if you want to use that map, you might have to check out the asset packs in the marketplace that have been used to create this map. Yes, so congratulations, guys, on those maps. I think they're amazing. They're a really good representation of what you can do with our tools. I'm proud to see how good our map makers are getting. Yeah, this is our community spotlight. And this is where we transition into Project DEIOS news. So let me just, before we transition there, I have to keep an eye on the chat. Let me see, have you been texting me something, asking questions? Nope, it doesn't look like. Although chat is quite active. That's really nice. Right. So, Project DEIOS. Project DEIOS is, I've been looking forward to do Project DEIOS announcements tonight, because there is something coming up fairly shortly that we are so excited to finally release, and that is patch 0.6.0. It is the public release of the city editor. Now, what does that mean, and what does coming soon mean in details? I'm going to talk a little bit about this. First of all, when you look at our timeline, this is what we've been reviewing in our constant mapping and outs. Where are we in terms of development for the city map editor? And it makes me so incredibly proud to look at those bars and see them almost all green. We finished the prototyping, the roads basics, although we did change the road system quite a couple of times until we were really satisfied with it. We have all the UI basics are done. The texturing in version 1 and version 2, where we realized that we had to change some things with the textures, completed. The whole road handling has been improved and improved and improved, and has recently been improved some more. We had a lot of experimentation with the way that we treat props, prop placement, and roads, and I think that we have quite a good result there in the way that we're treating it now through prop brushes that actually can angle your buildings towards a road. The whole city map editor core is done, the props are done, the labels are done. We've reworked the brushes, the walls, and the whole pathing is in there now. We've reworked the way that we treat water and shallow water and coastal waves. So that has been done, which means that the only thing that we're currently still doing is cleaning up, bug fixing, and refining. 2 weeks ago, if I remember correctly, 2 weeks ago, we did a Discord release where we gave the latest build to you on Discord and asked you to give us feedback. So thank you very much. We've received a lot of feedback there. And we have been looking at those things, and I think 90% of the things that you've reported are fixed. So we've already checked all of the whole undo redo stacks. They're done now. We've checked a lot of the crash reports that we got. There's something else. I can't remember right now. I have a hair. I think I just got a dog hair in my mouth, wherever it came from. There is a lot of bugs already fixed. The things that we're currently fighting are, we need to get the Mac build ready, because I think Linux build is already done. Windows build is running already. Now we're fighting to get the Mac version done for the release. And of course, there's still like 100 edges that need to be kind of polished a bit and cleaned up. So right now we are in the final phase of refining. I know that we said that we want to release it on November the 30th, which would be in 2 days from now. I don't think we can make it though. Andre unfortunately got the Omicron version of the virus and is sick at the moment, which means that our Mac build is a bit delayed. Our best guess at the moment is at the start or mid next week, we are going to hand it out. Yeah, unfortunately, he reported sick on Monday, yesterday, and that is quite painful in the final polishing phase, because everyone has a ton of tasks, and one of the tasks, for example, was finishing the asset libraries, like putting paths and roads and textures into a library selection instead of a drop-down selection, and of course the Mac build. So we hope that he's getting back to his feet probably tomorrow or on Thursday, which would then allow us to finish and polish everything over the weekend and at the start of next week. So what we have decided internally is that on Monday morning, we will come together and we will look at the build. Ilya, for example, is done. He actually, all his tasks are checked off. He's now taking over bits and pieces from Andre. And on Monday, we will then look at where we are. And if we feel like this is fine, we'll give it to you and then do 1 or 2 or 3 day post release patch that then brings in the stuff that got delayed. But we will see. So it can be Monday if we feel like, if we're looking at the build on Monday and we feel confident. It's most likely not going to be Monday because we want to have some final release testing. But it could be Tuesday, and worse for wear, it's just pushed back by week. So next Thursday, I think I'm quite confident to say that whatever we do, you'll get it next Thursday. But I'm not going to leave you with that here, because if you've been watching our anniversary stream, I just want to walk you through some of the maps that we did with the recent build, and you might have seen those already. This is a big city. I think this is quite a big city when you look at the size of it, but then you can see how much you can zoom in to get the details of that. And before we went into the Battle Madness stream, I had a chat with Lord God and Incubus, and Lord God said that the zoom in version of those cities is actually really good for chase sequences, and I absolutely agree, because that's not even the closest you can zoom in. You can zoom in even further. I would say you can zoom into the degree where you could actually place minis and do a chase through all the... I mean, it's going to be a boring session if you want to do a chase through all the roads, but generally speaking, you would be capable of doing it. Here's another one. Now, the first one shows, again, a very big city. You can also see how different the art styles can be when you use the different textures. And this is actually something that we're still working on, is we're still populating our libraries with more and more and more assets and textures. But here you can also see the lighting system in action, and I think that is also really cool. But we're going to look at more lighting maps in a couple of minutes here. This one is the latest edition, and I think this one is amazing. And this one is... I just see the chat conversations here. This one is... Ilya just recently added light rays to the global lighting, which I think makes a really interesting map. And you can, we're going to look at it in a second, but you can adjust the position of the light rays, the color of the light rays, and I'm not sure if you can already adjust the intensity of the light rays, but if you want to have something like that, that is now doable as well. God rays, yes. And again, this is, I just took the screenshot. We can look at the map later on. You can zoom in into all those streets and alleyways, and they are populated with the prop brush. So they're actually, you don't have to place all the buildings yourself. You just create the road grid and then you populate it. Done, sorted, and it can actually mix with flora, buildings, and clutter, whatever you want to put there. Lashandra has a question. Will the city editor launch with the ability to save and load maps? If so, when will we get copies of the maps you're displaying? Okay, so first of all, of course you can save and load maps. It would be quite weird if you couldn't do that. We can share, like Ilya already posted those maps in the Discord, and we might even include some of them as part of the release build so that you have a good sample of looking at them. Now, I am also working on the tutorials, because we definitely now, with the city map editor being released, we are going to do some first tutorials so that you get an understanding of how did we get those maps. Here's another one, I think a very beautiful one, a winter map. So again, good way to see how different the styles can be and how you can change things up. This also is, I think, very enjoyable. This is the the paths tool that has the option to follow the coastline. So you can create this without having to aim. You just follow the coast and it creates this rocky path alongside it. Damien says, I smell beta coming. So yes, this was actually part of a conversation that we had today, and that's the naming convention for our next release, the release next week. We're not going to call it a beta next week. We want to have our beta status by the end of the year. The reason for that is that we feel like that it should be one public alpha release to collect your feedback, ideally not a lot of crash reports because it's running really stable at the moment, and I hope that we don't get too many crashes. But we would like to have at least one cycle, so a couple of weeks of community testing from not just the people who are active on our Discord and grab the Discord build, but this is going to be pushed to the auto updater, and this is going to update the DEIOS version that everyone has on their desktop right now, and it will unlock the city editor for all of you. We've seen in our metrics, the telemetry that we're having on our crash reports and the usage is, we see that on average about 120 to 200 people are using using Project DEIOS on a weekly basis, which we hope will give us quite the broad collection of bug reports, crash reports, and feedback tickets from you that we will then use to refine and rework with maybe 1, 2, 3 updates stretched over December and January to then turn it into beta. Because that's the point when we then cycle back to the world map editor and polish the world map editor with all the knowledge that we collected through the development of the city map editor. Question. I see a lot of questions and I'm going to address them right now. Kilishandra says, I still feel the beta should wait until the battlemap editor is added in. That's also a big conversation that we're having. I do think that we can treat those things separately, where we have a city map beta, world map alpha, and a battle map editor that is being integrated once version 6 is done. And it's still, the idea is still that you can launch one application to run it. And we have been discussing means. It's still in progress, but we've been discussing means to kind of bridge the time between the real version 6 battlemap editor gets integrated into Project DEIOS and the fact that there is an online battlemap editor running in already. And maybe we can do something where we say, okay, with your Project DEIOS, with owning Project DEIOS, you actually get, although it's a call of the browser version, but you can still get access to the battlemap editor until we have the proper means to integrate the real version 6 into it. Question, will this be a release that runs well on Linux? Just asking if I have to power up Wine again. So from the current testing, we do have a Linux build where we can run tests on it. It looks quite stable. We do know that Linux has particularly problems with the world map editor, which is due to some, let's say, optimizable ways to treat our textures in the world map editor, but we've already addressed that topic in the city map editor. So yes, the answer should be it's going to run quite nicely on Linux, we hope, but this is actually something where more feedback would help, because while we have in our internal testing team, we have Windows users and we have Mac users, we don't really have Linux users. So we're just running it on our test Linux environment. And this is kind of one system and not a bunch of systems. So having feedback on that will be quite helpful. Question. Has anyone challenged Ilya to a town building competition yet? No, but I think that is actually quite a cool idea. So Ilya has, through the course of this year, Ilya has become our absolute master of city maps. He's done, if I remember correctly, I have to look into our library, but I think he's done over 25 city maps. Some of them are massive, some of them are like this, small towns. But I think Ilya would enjoy a little competition there. So the second DEIOS is out. The city map maker is out to you. We might do on Discord, we might do a little weekly challenge where we post a topic for a town, and then we'll just see who can contribute the nicest town, city, village map whatsoever to that topic. And I can already tell you Ilya will pick up on that challenge. Volker said, really looking forward to it. You're talking about the Linux build right now. Yeah, I understand that. And I think you're talking about the Linux version. No, you're talking about the Linux version of the world map editor, not so much the city map editor. And I completely agree. But this again is going to be changed once we cycle back to the city map editor, from the city map editor to the world map editor, because that's when we are going to incorporate all the changes. So having feedback on the city map part specifically on Linux will be really interesting for us. Right. So I've promised you a demo, so we're going to load that up. However, that means that I have to quickly go here. Very nice. And I have to, apologies, there is a bit of, I just need to run it and switch screens, but I just realized that Ilya sent me a nice map to showcase and I haven't downloaded it yet. So I'm just going to show you how that works. I'm quickly grabbing the map from Ilya. And then I'm going to switch into screen share and you can see how to put that map here. Let's grab the winter map. Download. I'm downloading the winter map. And let's grab the small city in fall map. Let's grab that one and download it. All right. Done and done and done and done. So I should be able to go into screen share. And I'm doing this right now. Screen share left, big, there you go. Okay, so I've copied those maps. I quickly downloaded them. Question, is there a maximum number of times someone can with the map battle before being forced to retire? I don't know. That's very much up to you how much endurance you have. So I've copied the maps and I'm going to put them here. You can see all the maps that I already have here. Let's paste them. And I need to extract them. Yep, great, thank you. It's called Small City Winter. I just have to remember that name. And the other one was Small City Fall. Extract. There you go. Now we have those, which means that I have just extracted. I went into the map folder, extracted them there, and now they should be already running in DEIOS, which we're going to check out in a second. I am currently launching up Project DEIOS. There you go. There we have it. And there we are. There we have the Small City Fall and the Small City Winter, which means that if you want to, we're going to, of course, we're going to improve the way that you can share maps through the community hub, apparently. This is going to be improved over the course of the next year. But right now, if you want to share maps, I think we can actually establish a Discord channel where you can just exchange those map files through this way right now. So let's load up the Winter City map, and let's just look at how close can you zoom in. And that's just absolutely amazing. I can still go. So this is proper battle map material right now. But if I want to do a chase scene, I can kind of run my map here like this, and then if I want to have a representation for my players, if I just want to give an inspirational scenery to them, I can zoom out like this. So you know what, chat? Let me know what you would like to see. There's just a lot of stuff that we can do. For example, let's while you make up your mind, I'm going to add a road here, and I'm going to add a little segment here. Let's close it up again. And now I'm going to use the blue buildings. Well, maybe not. I think I already have implemented some elven green buildings. Let's see if they're already in there. I'm going to go to the brush mode, not the single placement, but the brush prop. I want to have them road-sided, and now I'm going to pick the, let's see if my elven buildings are in there already. Yes, let's pick those elven buildings. And with the brush tip that I have here, I can do now this, and they will be placed alongside the road, and it's part of our list right now, is they should be paying attention to paths, especially coast-sided paths and city wall paths, so that you don't have to shift that building manually. And if we compare them, they are scaled at 80%, so maybe I should have done the same thing and scaled them down to 80%. But I can very easily with my mouse adjustments, I can do this. So we have some elven buildings here. Let's put you here, and let's keep you bigger. Oh no, I wanted to. Oh, come on! I wanted to have this. Let's keep you bigger. You're going to be like major building here. Let's make you a bit smaller. And let's move you here, which means that we can now start to do maybe some of the smaller trees and clutter them in there. So now I'm going to turn off the roadside option, because I don't want the trees to be oriented towards the road. I just want them to be cluttered in there. And I'm going for tree, and I think the 2 and the 3 are the small ones. We can quickly check them. Come on, show me the tree. There you go. I think that's fine. So again, I'll just use the brush tool, and I'll say, well, let's reduce the density a little bit, but let's increase the overlap quite drastically. So when I do, oh, okay, that was probably a bit much, but that's fine. As you can see, the overlap controls how much each prop overlaps the other. So if you want to have a dense forest like here, you should have a high overlap, and the density controls how much of those assets are generated within the circle. It's not going to be part of the first release, but eventually we want to add a preview onto that mouse cursor so that you can actually see what you're adjusting there. Righty right, so I think that one should be actually overlapping the building, which means I'm going to increase the set index for that one. I think I'm going to increase the set index for that one too. That one works fine. Nope, I think that's fine, but those trees they shouldn't be on the path, so we're going to shift them manually. I, of course, can multi-select them. Well, I probably just need to do those two and put them here. Okay. Next thing is I think I like it what can we do to this? What else could we do? Oh, I know what we can do. We can use the paths, and this is one of the things that we want to do for the release. Actually, is we don't want to give you just a long drop-down list of available paths, but we want to put them into the same preview as the library, where you can visually select the path that you want to use instead of using the drop-down. But that's not, again, because Andrew is sick at the moment, that's not finished yet. I want to do grass borders. I'm not sure what grass border 2 means, but we will find out in a second. And I want to make it with transform pointy edges. So let's go in there and let's see what that means. Yes and no. I think it's a bit too small. I think we can increase the size of it. Let's do it by 20 and try again. Yeah, that looks much better. So we can do this now here. I currently cannot increase the size on an existing brush yet. That's fine. But of course, I can adjust all those points and shift them around. So I'm going to create something like a small pathway here. And if I want to do even more, I can use my keyboard to insert a point or remove a point or insert 2 points here and then adjust them. All right, let me just quickly look at the chat. Yes, yeah. The asset brush is so much fun and so easy to use because, again, what you need to do, or what you're going to do in the future, is you're going to create your road grid, and then you're just brushing with certain buildings that you decide you would like to see. Now here's an interesting one. I'm not sure if it's going to work, but this is part of the current implementation test build that we have in our test environment. I have color adjustments for those things. So technically I should be able to actually adjust the color. I'm not sure if something happened. Let me see if something happened. Well, it's probably not working in that build. Nope. Doesn't look like it's working. But the goal is that you can actually adjust the colors. And as you can see, we're breaking it down into separate color layers. So for example, I think the conifers, they actually have the green as a color layer, the white as a color layer, and then of course they have the outlines. So the multicolor options are going to find their way in there fairly soon. Either I'm doing something wrong here right now, or it's just simply not working at the moment in this implementation. No, it seems to bug out because the second I change the brightness, it just gives up. I didn't color it. Okay, so that's not working at the moment, which is fine, but it is going to work in the future. Okay, apologies, I'm getting a dry throat here. So another cool thing is when you have something like a forest and you activate the cut through for your roads. The second you go like this, it actually cuts through. So you can very quickly populate a map with a forest and then say, okay, but there's actually a lot of agricultural work taking place there. So let's pick some, let's do them as a single element building, and let's just place one here and one here. Let's make a bigger one. And let's do something completely else here. Let's see, I think we have logs. Yes, we have some logs here. So let's just put a bunch of logs here. Okay, so the cutting through is also, I think, a very convenient way to change the appearance of your map. I remember that when I showed it Guy the first time, the first thing Guy said was, okay, I'm just going to create a map, and then I'm going to brush trees all over it, and then I'm going to construct my city based on the forest, and not I'm going to construct the forest based on the city. Which I think is quite a cool idea to do it like that. Right, so let's talk, because I can see that chat is A, having a question, I'll come to that in a second, and B is talking about the lighting features, and we're going to look at that in a second. Killashandra asks, how will we transition from the world map to the city map in DEIOS? So for start, we will do the equivalent of the Google Map pin that you can put on a certain place in your world map or your city map, and that links to the other map. So when you double click on the pin, or when you select the pin and click on open map, it will then switch to the other map. It will load the other map into Project DEIOS. However, that is not going to be the same way that we're going to treat it in our viewers. Now, the viewers are still a topic that we're going to talk about next year. But of course, creating the map is one part of the whole shebang, and showing the map to our players is actually a second part. And there, I think we can do some really nice transitions when you switch from one map to the other. We're not even certain if that, because I can see the question that Killashandra asks, and that says, can the pin be hidden behind another asset and still work? I'm not necessarily convinced yet that it has to be a pin, because it is conflicting with the aesthetics of the map. Maybe it is just something that you can put on when you select an asset. Sorry, that's not the asset. That's the light source. That's fine. Let's select another asset. When you select an asset, you might have an option to link to a map and have it link through the object itself. Or if we do a certain pin because we feel like that's better, then there's definitely going to be an option to hide pins for yourself on export or for your players. So we're aware of the fact that having a pin is not necessarily something that equals wanting a pin. So don't worry, I think we've got you covered there. So let's talk about the lighting options. So first of all, you can find two new options at it's hidden by my frames. Let me try to resize it. So there at the bottom of your interface, the toolbar, there are two options available to you. This is the light tool that actually places light sources, and this is where you kind of control the general ambient lighting. So let's look at that. We have all the shadow adjustments that we would like to use. So you can turn off shadows, of course, and as you can see, it makes such a big difference whether or not you have shadows. So turning them on, I think, makes the map already much stronger. But you can, of course, if you don't like the way that the shadows work right now, you can adjust the shadow softness. I could turn this down to make those really hard shadows. This is feedback related. We decided that even hard shadows have some softness, so we're not putting it to 0% and 100%, but we're having a kind of our own adjustments there. If you don't like that, let us know, and we can actually tweak those things. So turning on the shadow softness is increasing the blur effect on the shadows. Shadow strength, of course, controls how visible those shadows are. So if I would turn up shadow strength to a maximum, turn down shadow softness to the minimum, this is what you would get. I think this is too much, but you might, for some reasons, your own aesthetics, the way that you do it, this might be something that you prefer. I think having it somewhere in the middle is actually the best. So we're going to come with a recommendation on the settings here, and then it's up to you to do your own adjustments. So how is the shadow controlled in its direction? That is through the sun angle, which is you can control where the horizontal angle of the sun is. So I can switch around this position, and the length of the shadow is actually controlled by the vertical angle. So if it's very long, this would be in at dawn or at dusk. And if it's at 90% degree, this would be midday. I know that the controls are not super self-explaining. I hope that we can do more with that over the course of some updates where we refine the design of those controls so that it's more self-explanatory. But I think it's once you get the gist of it, it's fairly simple to understand. There's a question: do props only cast shadows on the background or also on each other based on set index? For example, I do think that they currently just drop shadows on the floor. Once we have our advanced layering system, which is going to be here right now, this is fairly useless because we haven't implemented the full layer system into the regions panel yet. So this panel is for the start is a placeholder for what's coming. But once the layer system is in there, shadows could actually cast on the objects beneath each other based on their set index or respectively based on their layers. Let's zoom out a little bit because we see now let me bring that back to full strength. There is the sunlight intensity, and I'm going to ramp it up, which is super intense right now, and bring it down so you can see the difference. If I ramp up the sunlight intensity, you can see that we have those God rays baked into it, and of course, what's the ambient light? That's new. Oh, right. This is just generally speaking, is it night time, which will highlight the city lights, or is it daytime? And ramping up the sunlight intensity. So this is going to be really weird. There you go. Very foggy day. But this is good to see the rays. And as you can see, if I change the horizontal angle, it actually also changes the ray casting. And again, if the vertical angle just affects the shadows. But in that case, I should probably put the vertical angle on a long distance and make it something like this. And this would be a very foggy city. Thank you very much, Volker. Can the sunlight color be changed? Yes, of course it can. So we could make it a sunny sunlight, or we could make it like forest fire scenario here, where it's kind of dreadful from that area. Very Diablo. You can do that. There is still tweaking going on because the way that we combine the ambient light with the blending modes for the sunlight isn't fully optimized yet. Right now, there's a lot of things that you have to adjust yourself. We are going to work on presets for you where you can pick certain moods, like you could pick nighttime. That would actually make this not a sunlight, but would make this kind of a blue ray beam with a very low ambient light, and maybe have a different way of blending it, so that it looks like a nighttime map with moonlight shining over it, and the dusk, dawn, midday settings, so you can just select them and we optimize them already for you, so you don't have to play with all the sliders. That's all of that is happening, and most of that is actually happening before Christmas. It's just not happening for the release next week. It's happening while we do our patches and updates throughout the next releases over into January. What about elevation changes? Can you elaborate on that? What do you mean about elevation changes? You mean like terrain having cliffs going down? Okay, let's do this. For the sake of it, let's quickly bring back some light in here. Turn down the sunlight intensity. And let's use our prop eraser to get some space here, because we want to have what's it called? I think it's called coast at the moment, which is not the best naming. And it might be, let's do this at 40. I mean, this might be too big. We'll see. So I can, of course, start to create terrain here. And if I feel like, if we look at that, it actually looks like this is going downwards. If I want to flip that, I'll just select this and mirror it. And now we have this. Oh, come on. I want to select you and move you. So I can do something like this to create terrain elevations. Fairly simple to do. And exactly, I can do hills with that. There's going to be a couple more of those paths to give you several options on creating terrain like that. Right now, I feel like you have to actually, what did we do here? I think it's this one. And let's go for water is probably the wrong one. Let's go for rock dark. Set index. Let's try something. I don't know. I'm just messing around with it right now. There you go. Okay, and let's go into subtract and let's do a lot less softness. Although I like the shadowing, although it was an accident. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So you can do terrains there. It's going to expand and grow. If you remember DungeonFog, the initial release was also fairly limited in amount of textures and props. But this is exactly what we're going to do next year. We're going to do the same thing we did with the world map editor, which, by the way, I forgot to say is also getting new asset packs with the next release. There's still a couple of asset packs left to be released with the world map editor. We're going to put them into the patch 0.6 release. And then we're going to do with every patch on the world map, on the city map editor, we're going to release more assets, more textures, and more paths. So we're going to populate that tool just the way we do it with our monthly prop pack releases and the content subscription on DungeonFog, on the battlemap editor. Right, guys, my voice is leaving me slowly but surely. We've been playing around. Oh, we haven't played around. My God, we haven't played around with the cool occlusion stuff. So I don't know if I've shown that in a previous stream, but we have those vignette options. They're still going to be optimized a bit. If you want to darken the corners, if you want to create kind of no, let's reduce the inner radius. And let's increase the outer radius a little bit. So there you go. Okay, it seems to be only working at some zoom levels at the moment. But the coolest thing for a chase scene is the bokeh stuff. If I turn that on, I have that bokeh effect. And if I do the positioning, I'll have to play around a little bit with it. There you go. Now let's say that the temple is in the center of our attention. If we're exporting this map, I think this is a really, really cool image, especially if you want to do something for your players, where you want to highlight a certain building in your city, in your adventure, maybe in your PDF, in whatever you publish. I think this is really cool. And if you want to do a chase scene, technically you could kind of, by using the position slider, you could actually follow the point of interest of your chase, where you say, okay, right now they're chasing down to this crossroad, so let me highlight this crossroad. It still needs more fine tuning, but we'll get there. And I'm not sure where's my focus right now. So there needs to be some kind of gizmo on the tool that allows you to actually adjust the focus and not just sliders. Yeah, that's another really cool thing. So I am fairly certain that you're going to have a lot to play around with, and I'm fairly certain that we are going to get a lot of feedback, and we're really looking forward to it, because I think we're really close to getting the city map editor into the state that we would like to see it. And next week we're going to hand it out to you, and then you can bombard us with ideas, feedback, and critique, and we will make sure that we work this in within our December patches and our January patches before we then transition over into refining the world map editor. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed tonight's stream. I enjoyed it very much, and I'm left to say there is not going to be a December mapping it out, because traditionally that would fall into the days between Christmas and New Year's Eve, which is family time for all of our developers and of course for myself. I actually have on the Tuesday, I can't remember, what is it? Is it the 28th? I can't remember, but I'm playing a couple of games. My family has started to play D&D, so my brother, my sister-in-law, my mom, my dad, and my sister-in-law's mother are coming for a D&D session. They're now on their 3rd or 4th session. And I have 2 gaming groups that also want to play over the vacation. So there's not going to be a Mapping It Out stream at the end of December, but we will pick up, as always, with a bigger stream in January, where we sum up everything that has happened in December and in January. So with that said, guys, thank you very much, and have a great day, have a great evening, and as always, happy map making. Guys, see you soon. Bye.